The 49ers have been patient with Brock Purdy and his toe injury, but it's starting to feel more real than ever that Brock Purdy will actually be suiting up this week to reclaim his role as QB1. I'll discuss that plus more on today's 49 Cable.
You're listening to the 49 Carats podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats podcast. I'm your host, Steph. It is Thursday, November 13th. Another Third and Thursday show, as you guys could see if you're watching on YouTube. I'm not joined by Wayne today. Wayne couldn't make the show. Sending love out to Wayne today. Hope everything is all right. But the show must go on, and we've got some big 49ers news to discuss today. The return of Brock Purdy feels very much imminent. And not just that, the 49ers injury luck as a whole just kind of feels like it's trending towards the right direction. Let's start off today's show as we normally do on a Thursday, looking at the 49ers Wednesday practice report. So we don't have a lot of do not practices from Wednesday's practice. In fact, the only two were the typical two that we get. Veteran rest days for Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams. Aside from that, everyone practiced, and there were a few limited players. And the limited players were Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, Alfred Collins, and D. Winters. Now, on D. Winters, he was dealing with this last week as well. He played something he's playing through. If you're not happy with the way D. Winters is playing, maybe what he's playing through with this injury of both knees is something that's maybe impacting his play potentially. And then on Alfred Collins, Kyle Shanahan did say earlier in the week that there was a pretty good chance Alfred Collins was close to playing, on Sunday, but he ultimately did not. But probably a good sign that Collins is a limited participant and that he might be on a good track towards playing on Sunday. But the big two here, you guys, we know it's Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall, this is the first time he's practiced since his injury. And so this is huge to even be practicing in limited fashion. And Brock Purdy, he's been practicing in limited fashion for some weeks now, but all signs point towards a lot of progression happening for Brock Purdy in the last week or so. And so I do have the clip of Kyle Shanahan talking about Brock and his progress. And
you said
right here
on Monday that you wanted basically 3 days of aggressive practices for Brock before determining.
Yeah.
Does that mean, because he's limited, does that mean that it can't be an aggressive type of practice?
No, it'll be aggressive practice. We just got to put limited if it's not exactly how it normally is. So.
Will he be running the first team offense? Are you trying to build him toward the point where he could start on Sunday?
Yes.
For this week?
Yes.
Okay.
We haven't seen practice, obviously. How has he looked as far as his mobility, accuracy, how's he looked?
I think each week it's gotten better, with last week being the best. I mean, each week has been different. So if he takes a big step forward this week, like he did last week, he should have a good chance to play.
Hard decision to make given how well Mac Jones been playing recently?
No, it's not a hard decision. It's just more about Brock's health. I mean, it's been awesome how Mac's played. He's been great. But we got a lot of confidence in Brock, and we know Brock will play at a high level too as long as he's healthy.
all right, so there was a lot to break down from that clip there. The big one that I think myself and many others have discussed throughout the last few weeks is the whole thing with Mac Jones. Mac Jones playing well in the spot duty for Brock Purdy as he started these games. And, the discussion has now spread further than just the 49ers fandom bubble. You got NFL Network talking about it. You got Richard Sherman on his podcast talking about it. You hear the word quarterback controversy thrown around. I don't think it's a controversy per se, but I do think it's an interesting situation and one that the 49ers are quite familiar with, in which, the backup quarterback does a good job in this quarterback friendly offense. And you have that question come up of, well, should the 49ers play the hot hand? Kyle Shanahan seems to shut that down, saying it's not a hard decision at all. But you know what? Was it ever going to be a hard decision when you have 200 million plus tied to Brock Purdy? I mean, honestly, all things being equal, as far as their pay, maybe we're having a different discussion here. But ultimately, I mean, you got to start the guy that's getting paid to start, right? You're not just paying him so he can sit on the bench and be Mac Jones's backup. And also, that being said, I think there are some things that Brock Purdy does that's different and maybe even better than Mac Jones. And, we're going to get to see those things hopefully in this game on Sunday. The one thing that we didn't see in the week 4 game when Brock Purdy tried to return, then we didn't see a Brock Purdy that was close to 100%. So that has been, I think, my biggest concern with that. And Kyle Shanahan did address that, and I do have that quote as well. But I also want to discuss the, aggressive practice, because early in the week, Kyle Shanahan did say, we want to see 3 aggressive practices from Brock Purdy. And not just that, we want to see how he responds to these aggressive practices. Well, yesterday was the first of hopefully 3 aggressive practices that Brock's going to have this week. And not only that, he led, in drills. So he was the first quarterback in the drills and working with the first team. So again, all signs continue to point that Brock Purdy is going to be starting this weekend. Shout out to my Thursday co-host on her show, Mariah, who just became a YouTube member. Shout out, Mariah. It sucks because on StreamYard, I can't see the emojis, but I have special emojis for anyone who catches these shows on YouTube. I have custom emojis you can use in the live chat. She's using them in the live chat. So thank you, Mariah, for that. I wish we could see it on StreamYard, but I'm sure it's looking cool in the YouTube live chat. But so this is the thing with Sunday, is that this is funny because the 49ers, like I said, are in a better position injury-wise than they've been in the previous weeks, especially compared to their opponent, the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this is kind of small for, the viewers who are watching on YouTube, but you can kind of see that the list for the Arizona Cardinals on their injury report or their practice report for Wednesday was rather long, and they had a lot of did not practice and limited participants. Among the did not practice, the linebacker Baron Browning, Marvin Harrison, which now we know wide receiver Marvin Harrison, their wide receiver 1, he's going to miss this game because he had appendicitis surgery. And I mean, hope for a quick recovery for Marvin Harrison, but I mean, that's good for the 49ers that he won't be out there. Also, cornerback Will Johnson with back and hip injuries did not practice for them. And then a few others. So this is pretty big. And also the other injury that I don't see listed here, maybe it's because there was some move they made to put him on IR already. Not sure. But Zay Jones, I know, tore his ACL. Saw that yesterday. So they're going to be down 2 wide receivers in this game. And then you have the 49ers, on the other hand, getting Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall back, more than likely. So that's huge for the 49ers. We would welcome that change of feeling like the injury gods are now maybe a little bit more in our favor this week, because the 49ers definitely need to win this game. And it'd be great if they won the next 4, quite honestly. It'd put them in a much better position, and we could get back to talking about slipping into the playoffs and that being a possibility. But I was listening to the 49ers Talk podcast with Matt Mayoko and Jennifer Lee Chan. And one thing they said is the 49ers have to win the games they're expected to. Now, I think for the most part this season they have, but look, that game against the Texans, I think we both feel that they should have won that one. And then, the game against the Rams, probably didn't feel that they would. Sorry, I'm like, it would have been great if I had a co-host today, because I'm like, I've been dealing with a illness. I'm not like super sick, but my throat been getting dry, so getting cough attacks here. And I need a breather. I need drinks of water, but thanks for you guys' patience. In any case, maybe this is a good segue to the next video that I did have on Brock Purdy. Now, here I do have the quote of John Lynch speaking on KNBR, talking about Brock Purdy's return, and him also reiterating what the team feels about Brock and that they've been pretty consistent that this is Brock's team. This is true, but that's not going to quiet national media. Like, they honestly don't care what the team has to say about Brock Purdy being QB1. It's because, honestly, like, most of the time, a lot of the times, it's coach speak. Like, teams will say these things and then change their mind. That's not to say that the 49ers will change their mind or have changed their mind. Obviously, they have not. They're ready to trot out Brock Purdy once again as the QB1. But I just kind of wonder if all of this, I'm not saying that they're bringing him back just because of the national media talk getting louder this past week. But I do think all of this is happening at a pretty convenient time. So thank you for letting me have drink water breaks, guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, hate when that happens. Like, my throat gets all dry and scratchy. But here we go. I'm gonna play a couple of videos here. You could see Brock Purdy in action at 49ers practice yesterday. I thought I was gonna play in here. Oh, okay. 1 second. Well, what was interesting is the 49ers themselves, the 49ers account, posted Brock Purdy practicing, throwing this ball to George Kittle. That seems to be a pretty good sign that, he is making his return, right? I mean, all signs point to that. So that's a pretty good thing right there. And then we also have the other video. I think I know why this video is not playing, though. I think because there's a link attached to this whole thing, but can't fix that now. Technical difficulties run the risk of that at all times with these slides. But my worry was the mechanics thing with Brock. In week 4, you guys remember seeing Brock looking like he couldn't fully plant his foot. And as a result, he was floating a lot of passes and he was pretty inaccurate in that week 4 game, which, was an issue in that one and why the 49ers struggled as much as they did. So I'm going to play this clip of Shanahan addressing this when he spoke with the media yesterday. Oh, 1 second. You guys said you couldn't hear the. Oh my God. Oh my God. Why is this? Hold on. I'm going to reshare. Again, technical difficulties. What is going on? All right. Let's try this one more time and then let me know if you guys could hear it in the chat.
You watched the
footwork and like his release and stuff, or is that more like you'll get to that on film? Like, what do you catch on the field? Like,
You can just feel it. I mean, a guy you've been around for a while, like I have Brock, I mean, you can just feel how the ball comes off, how he moves, how he reacts. Yeah, I can get in the film room and stare at it for a lot longer than I probably should. And I could do that on the field, but I watch other things, but usually you can feel it on the field.
did you feel it against Jacksonville that it wasn't right?
Yeah, it felt a little off. Yeah.
Does being a preparation junkie help him get back to the field and be ready faster?
It's the only way you can be. I mean, when you're hurt, if you check out in football, just with what happens every week from a game plan standpoint, from how much goes on for a quarterback and still all other positions, if you check out while you're injured, you can't come back and play right away.
All right, so that's what Kyle Shanahan had to say on the mechanics thing, and it was interesting because, you know, he did say, like, he does get a feel for that, and then so he was asked about the Week 4 performance then, and he was like, yes, I did notice that it was a little bit off in that game. Now, remember, part of the reason, and I think a large part of the reason that it was not Mac Jones who played that game, and it almost had to be Brock, because he was healthier enough. Mac Jones was dealing with his PCL injury that week. So Mac Jones was a little more injured than maybe they feel Brock was. Ultimately, it ended up extending his timeline and you know, hurting that toe a little bit more than they probably should have pushed it. But I do still believe that was in large part the reason why they decided to just start him anyway. And maybe a bit of that was Brock Purdy as well, just kind of saying, no, like I feel fine, and not really understanding the severity or finickiness of this injury. So, I mean, I think it just goes to show, like, they knew he wasn't 100% for that Week 4 game. They put him out there anyway, and we saw what happened. Now, this going into this week, while I do have that concern of him looking the same way, I don't think he will, just because, you know, I think that having seen what he looked like in Week 4, I think they know what they're looking for this time around. And as Kyle Shanahan says, like, he has a feel for the mechanics of it and how he looks as he's throwing and all these things, how comfortable he looks. So I don't think the 49ers are just going to put Brock Purdy out there if they don't feel like he's in a better position and closer to 100%. Like, obviously, and this comment from earlier from Troy saying, unless he is 100% healthy, this move doesn't help the team. Mac is not the reason for our struggles. Well, if they feel like Brock Purdy can plant his foot, plant his toe, and deliver these passes accurately, then, you know, we have to feel that they feel that Brock Purdy is ready, right? So, and I think that's what these next two now practices of this week are kind of going to help paint that picture of, is he truly 100% or close to 100% to where we feel like he isn't going to hurt the team by being out there, or hurt himself further by being out there. I think that's the point where we're at right now. And I think it's a good sign that, you know, he continues to progress through this, and that he could go out there and help the team on Sunday. Now, John Lynch, you know, on KNBR did talk about Brock Purdy as well, and he said, quote, "The progression of Purdy is continuing. Turf toe is a tough injury, painful, persistent." I actually think this might have been a quote from last week. The quote that I'm looking for this time is this one. Yeah, which I already showed. This is a rough week for my slides today. It's just been a hectic week for me in general. But yeah, I mean, I think, again, all signs point to Brock being ready. Even Christian McCaffrey was asked about it, and CMC said he looks like Brock. He's out there throwing well. He's running well. He looks like himself. So that's a good sign. I mean, I don't know what else he would say, but I think it's a positive sign. Now, the question is, if you have Brock Purdy coming back and you have Ricky Pearsall coming back, Ricky Pearsall, I think, is a pretty significant boost for this offense, right? And John Lynch was asked about Ricky Pearsall, and he said, quote, Ricky gives us something different. He gives us explosiveness at the receiver position. He gives us speed, the ability to get down the field, and he's a precision route runner. Ricky has done a good job, a really good job in his rehab. He was out there at practice yesterday. Like Brock, he had a really good day. Let's see if he can finish the week. It would be great to have him back out there on Sunday. But he hit the nail on the head that he gives you something different. He gives you explosiveness. And I mean, I feel like people have forgotten just how good Ricky Pearsall is. And I get it. Hasn't always been available, but when he's out there, he's been a huge asset to this offense. The guy gets open. He is a precision route runner, as John Lynch mentioned. Like, and you see a video here of him at yesterday's practice, and he's looking crispy out there. These routes looking crisp. This is exactly what you want to see from Ricky Pearsall. And if he's out there on the field on Sunday, I mean, this offense should be humming or close to it. I understand that. First week back, maybe he has to work his way back to getting into game shape, just like, George Kittle did the first few weeks. But again, he looks good here. And I think he's ready to get back into this offense and make a difference. Now, the question now becomes, is this offense finally going to be able to carry the defense? I think that's what we need to see going forward. Having Brock Purdy and having Ricky Pearsall certainly helps you with that a lot, I think. And you just can't get to these slow starts. The offense starting the way they did last week was awful and ultimately hurt all of their chances to win that game, if there ever were any. Which I think if the offense went tit for tat with the Rams and scored from the beginning of the game, just like the Rams scored in their first few drives, then I maybe we're talking about a different ball game, right? And maybe we're talking about a defense that can get you a one hold at the end. I don't know, right? But I do know that this offense needs to carry this defense. They need to score points. So that's my expectation this week. And I do expect that Brock Purdy is going to look better than he did in the Week 4 game and closer to the Brock Purdy that we're used to seeing out there. So that should help the offense as well be more effective. You have George Kittle back. The run game has looked better the last few weeks. Maybe we continue to see some Brian Robinson reps out there. So in my opinion, there's no excuse for this offense to look anything other than humming on Sunday and hoping that they get a lot of points up on the board. And again, when you're dealing with the Cardinals team is dealing with a lot of injuries, not to mention the fact that Kyler Murray's on IR. So it's been Jacoby Brissett who has started the last few games and who will start on Sunday. They're not going to have Zay Jones. They're not going to have Marvin Harrison. So let's get to third down conversions. And I want to ask you guys in the chat as well. This is interactive part of the episode since we're missing Wayne for this. Now, third down conversions, we start off with third and long. What is the 49ers' biggest challenge this week? In chat, help me out here, but I'm going to give my thoughts on this. The 49ers' biggest challenge this week is going to be defending Trey McBride. He might have 20 targets this week, just the fact that he's going to be their, I mean, he's usually their best target anyway. But when you don't have Marvin Harrison, when you don't have Zay Jones out there, I mean, who else do you have to throw the football to? I mean, I think they'd be pretty happy if they could get the ball to Trey McBride on every throw, and no one would bat an eye to that. It'd be a pretty good strategy, especially with the way the 49ers coverage has been hurting. The linebacker coverage has not been great, since Fred Warner went down, and so if I'm the Cardinals, I'd spam the hell out of Trey McBride and just see what good matchups I can get him on. I mean, if I'm the Cardinals and I watched last week's game and I saw, Devontae Adams getting lined up against Malik Mustafa, I'm licking my chomps and I'm like, okay, how can I get Trey McBride in a similar matchup where, McBride's in a favorable position to create some havoc? And ultimately, I think McBride's going to get his, just because he is such a huge part of that offense. They involve him so much. And so to me, that's going to be the biggest challenge is how is this defense going to defend against Trey McBride? Like, is it going to be, I think it has to be somewhat of a group effort, like all eyes on McBride, but don't forget the guy you're on as well. Just kind of, they need to get into that swarming mentality again. So we'll see. Let me get to some of these comments you guys have for me. Niner Faithful asks, is it supposed to rain today for 49ers practice? I'm not in the Bay. I don't know. I could look up the Santa Clara forecast really quick and we can check. I know it looked like it was a little gloomy yesterday, right? Yeah, Thursday looks like it's supposed to be raining today. I mean, it looks like it's, according to the forecast, someone could keep me honest here because, again, I'm not there, but it looks like it might be raining right now in Santa Clara. And then participation percentages go down quite a bit after that. But, yeah, it looks like it could be rainy as long as it's, not rainy on Sunday. I think that's the biggest thing. Don't want to see Brock Purdy in the rain. And there's a chance of that, but it looks like most of the chance for Sunday will be at night that it might rain. So hopefully Sunday's game is okay. In any case, the game's in Arizona. I forgot about that. It's in Arizona, which also makes it more meaningful for Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall, both who have ties to Arizona. So we don't have to worry about the rain for Sunday, but at least for today's practice, maybe possibly. Okay. KJ says, biggest challenge is playing down to competition. That's interesting. I mean, I don't know if they do kind of sometimes play down to competition, but the good thing is the 49ers I feel like they played better on the road, which is weird. Early body clock games is a different story, but you don't have to worry about that in Arizona. So yeah, I think, as I was saying, like what Matt Mayoko said, the 49ers have to win the games they're expected to. You're expected to win this game against what are they, 3-6? The Cardinals are. So yeah, I mean, you can't play down to your opponent. And I think also what was said quite a bit this past week after losing to the Rams is like, this 49ers team, they get too high when they win games, and they've flip-flopped on wins and losses ever since after week 3, right? They've won one, they've lost one, they won one. So they need to get back to just playing focused every single week and looking at every game like this. We need to win this game because they do. Like, in my opinion, they need to win the next 4 games. They need to. So starting with these 3, then you got your bye week, and then you beat the game against the Titans, or you win the game against the Titans after your bye week. The next 4 games, those are your winnable games. And those are your, like, probably remaining easiest games on the schedule. So you have to win those because those are the games you're expected to win. So they put themselves in a pretty good position to do that. Yeah, Ty also saying defending McBride's going to be the biggest challenge. I agree. Ty also says you got to stop the run. I mean, yeah, that's like fundamentals, right? Which the 49ers haven't always been like it when they've lost. The defense kind of goes out the window. Like, you almost see it right away that it's going to be one of those games. You see missed tackles, you see receivers wide open. Like, the fundamentals just seem to go out the window completely. And one of the fundamentals is stopping the run. Like, you always have to stop the run if you have any chance of being successful on defense. And so, yeah, I understand that they're without James Conner and they're without Trey Benson, but you still got to stop the run. I mean, they got DeMarcado, and who's the other running back that's helping them out in. They got like a 50-50 split with both of those guys. Zonovan Knight, I think, Bam Knight. So, yeah, I mean, you can't let those guys beat you like that. You're just asking to lose if you're letting those guys beat you. And not to mention, Jacoby Brissett sometimes uses his legs too, so you can't not to say that he's going to go off for like 100 rush yards, but I'm just saying, like, it's something you got to keep your eye on. And yes, you do have to stop the run. All right. Here's what I think for the next one here. And again, live chat, help me out. Give me your thoughts. 3rd and goal. What's the 49ers' biggest goal this week against Arizona? Well, I think the biggest goal, and I'm going to say on offense has to carry the defense. Like I've been saying it, like I sound like a broken record because I've been saying it since like the beginning of the season, I feel like. But now you're like pretty much full squad on offense now. So there's no excuses. The biggest goal is that this offense has to look like itself and show up from the beginning. That goes for the defense as well, showing up from the beginning. You can't afford starting off slow and then trying to figure it out as the game goes on. Like you have to go into this game with the mindset that you're the better team and you're going to win. And I think in all the 49ers losses, they've started the game with the opposite mindset, right? So I think the biggest goal is that. Filthy Casual Fan says no injuries is the biggest goal. Man, could we get 2 weeks in a row with no injuries after a game? That'd be huge. I mean, that would really be huge. We got that last week. And I mean, we hope for that every single week for sure. Can the offensive line prevent Josh Sweat from getting to the quarterback? So my thing is, this is what's interesting, right, about both quarterbacks, Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. Mac Jones, we all know, is not mobile. Yeah, there's been a couple times where he'll escape, but he's not very nimble, right? Like he's not very agile. Like it just looks clunky when he tries to run out. So he doesn't have a lot of mobility. But what he has been doing to prevent the pass rush getting to him, to prevent getting sacked, is that he gets the ball out super quick. And last week against the Rams and that really good Rams defensive line, no sacks. He didn't take any sacks. And again, a large part of that is him getting the ball out as quickly as he has been. Now, Brock Purdy, ever since after the 2023 season, Brock Purdy has been one to hold on to the ball a little bit longer because he wants to survey the field and look at who's open, and he wants to escape the pocket and find the big play. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, it's just the truth of it. I will say that, like, if Brock is closer to being 100%, maybe we see a little bit more of that agility and movement in the pocket or out of the pocket from him, which I think will maybe help in that department. But again, like, there are some times where Brock Purdy will hold on to the ball maybe a little bit longer than he should, and that could make way for a guy like Josh Sweat getting some pressure, or getting a sack. So that's an interesting thing. It could go either way with either quarterback. You could look at that as being something that helps them, but can equally hurt Brock Purdy as well. And again, like the perception of the offensive line, although I don't think that's changed much for 49er fans as this season has gone on. People have made up their minds of what this offensive line is, and some of that is fair, I'll say. KJ says, knock off, rest early, and just roll on offense. Heck, just give it to Kittle. Just give it to Kittle. I like that. That needs to be the 49ers' biggest goal. Just give it to Kittle. Kittle and Christian McCaffrey every snap. Just do that. I mean, that's what I could think of many worse plans than that. I mean, you can get through a game and find yourself to be winning. I mean, like, look at even last week when the 49ers had like no chance of winning that game. You give the ball to George Kittle. He makes one of the most athletic plays we've ever seen in all effort plays to get into that end zone. That's just the type of player that George Kittle is. And I said it on Monday's show. He will reward you if you use him and you give him the ball. You target him. He had a lot of targets last week. I believe it was 9. Caught all those passes. Let's do it again. All right. So hopefully Brock Purdy and George Kittle, they're on the same page, hopefully. Yeah, and we know he loves to go up against Budda Baker. Is Budda Baker healthy? Because I know last time he didn't play. So hopefully Budda Baker is good for this one. Or no jet sweeps. No jet sweeps for Kittle, preferably. Okay, yeah, Budda's healthy. So I guess we'll get a inspired George Kittle. I mean, when do we not get an inspired George Kittle, right? All right, guys, that'll do it for the show today. Again, a little bit shorter. Didn't have Wayne today. Again, sending my love to Wayne. Hopefully back next week with him. Tomorrow, going to be doing my preview show with KP and, of course, with Desi. Going to be talking about these injuries. So we'll definitely be talking about Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, and the expectations that we should have for those two guys coming off their respective injuries. But for now, folks, have a good rest of your Thursday. Make sure you guys like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Audio listeners, leave a rating, leave a review. Really appreciate that, as always. For now, have a good rest of your Thursday, folks. Peace.